Welcome to today's This Month in ActivePipe. My name is Rachel and I am on the customer success team here at ActivePipe. In today's session, we're going to be covering exporting contacts and managing them in ActivePipe. And before we get started, just wanted to direct you to some things on our website. So if you go to activepipe.com, and the first thing I will share is if you go to our integrations menu, here's where you can see all of the different CRMs that we are connected to or synced with. So this is helpful too if you are trying to export contacts from your CRM. If you see on this list any of the ones that we are currently connected to, that's an easy way. Will automatically, ActivePipe will sync with your CRM, any of these that are on the list. And it's a very easy couple of steps to get your contacts added in that way. Today, we'll mostly be covering where you're getting your contacts from that are not CRM related, such as different email platforms or via a CSV upload. But just wanted to bring that to your attention that if you are connected with any of these CRMs, we can connect those to ActivePipe and you can bring over contacts that way. Also, one other thing that I will point out too, feel free if you have questions during today's session, pop those in the Q&A. You should see a little box either at the bottom or the top of your screen that says Q&A. So feel free to add any questions into there and I will get to those throughout today's presentation. And then a couple of other things I would like to go over are our blogs tab. So ActivePipe, we have our team releases at least one blog a month on different, I would say, categories that are related to email marketing. So I'd highly recommend that people check that out if you're looking to stay on top of your email marketing. And then a lot of the topics that we cover in This Month in ActivePipe, there's usually a related blog article that's available too that will be released as well. So you can always go to activepipe.com and go to blogs, and you can even sign up to receive anytime we do have a new blog. You can add your email address on the page here and you can subscribe to that. And then a couple of other things, if you go to the resources tab and go under webinars, and then you just click on North America, that part is important for if you're in the US, but here's where you can sign up for any of our upcoming This Month in ActivePipe. So you can register for those here, as well as all of our previous held webinars are on this page as well. So those get uploaded at the end of the month. So you can always, if you can't catch one of the sessions, you can always access those here under the resources tab and then webinars. And then last thing is our knowledge base. So this is great for any articles related to just anything in how-to in ActivePipe. So if you ever have any questions, for instance, on how to export any sort of contacts, you can go to the search bar up here, and this will give you articles and a lot of time videos on how to export contacts from any of those platforms, as well as there's just really a wealth of other information. So you can always search up here to find those related articles. There's great tips for getting started in here as well. So I definitely recommend anyone who's on today's session, if you just go to support.activepipe.com, that's where you'll be able to access our knowledge base for any questions. So great thing to save. You also can always, if you want to get in touch with our support team, you can always go up to this contact support up here and reach out to our support team. We have 24/5 support, as well as we also have our chat function here where you can chat with our support team. And you actually are speaking with a real live person from support, not just a chat bot. So it does connect you to our actual support team. And so you can fill in your question here and they will get in touch with you that way. You also have one of those help buttons too that are in the ActivePipe app. So you can always reach out to support that way as well. But just a couple of good resources for you. Again, support.activepipe.com. Definitely recommend saving that as one of your favorites. Awesome. So I'm going to launch one more poll here to get us started to see where I should direct our time in starting, I want to see where most people are hosting most of their contacts. So I'm going to pull. Everyone could just fill that out. I know we talked a little bit about the CRM already, but go ahead and fill that out and we'll see where to get started. Looks like almost everyone has completed that. All right. So it looks like most people are either it's their CRM or we have some Gmail and some Outlook. For anyone who's reached out for MLS, I'm not going to be able to cover that today just because I don't have access to your individual MLSs. And it is a little different for each individual MLS, depending on the one that you're on. But for the most part, and you can always ask whoever your representative with ActivePipe is, either a customer success manager or if there's someone at your brokerage who handles the ActivePipe account. They should know how to be able, it should be pretty easy to export those contacts out of your MLS. And then we can upload them via a CSV file into ActivePipe. So I'll be covering the part with uploading a CSV into ActivePipe. You will just have to reach out to whoever, again, your customer success manager is, or whoever your maybe your marketing or your admin person who covers ActivePipe for you on exporting those contacts from your MLS. But I'm going to start with, since the majority of you are host them in Gmail, let's get started there and then I'll go into Outlook. So I'm going to go to my Gmail account. And if you hover over to these this cluster of dots right over here in the top right, and you click on that, you're going to go to the contacts icon. And here you'll be able to see all of your saved contacts here. And if you hover over one of them, you'll see this little checkbox. And you can check on them that way. And then you can even, if you go to this drop-down menu here next to this blue box, you can select all of them that way. That way you can export all of them at that time. So I'll end up doing that in just a minute. But also if you click on one of your contacts here, just want to point out a couple of things. So obviously the important things to have are obviously their email address, first and last name. Also, you'll see in this notes section just down here, if you wanted to bring over any sort of groupings or tags, any sort of particular specific information on your contacts, such as if they are a seller or if they're part of your sphere of influence, zip codes, anything special notes like that, you can always add that in this notes section here. And that I'll show you how to when we add those contacts into ActivePipe, but those will come over into ActivePipe in the form of a tag. All right. So I'm just gonna, again, go back here, select this one, and then go up here to select all. And then if I go to these three dots here, you can go to export. And then you want to, the good thing is you'll want to export them as a CSV or comma separated values sheet. That's what we'll need to get them into ActivePipe. So you can select either Google or Outlook and then hit export. I'm not going to do that for this exercise just because I have a Google sheet that I'm going to go off of, but you would just hit export and then you would just save that. It will download and then you just save that as context exported on whatever the date is. So that is pretty simple. That's how you export contacts from your Gmail. Now I'm going to go over how to export from Outlook. So let me go back to just our Outlook page here. All right, so if you're in your email, your Outlook email, and you go over to the left, this it looks like two little people. So you click on this people icon. And this is going to bring up all of your contacts that you have in Outlook here. And again, you can add any notes. If you plan on bringing over any tags in your contact uploads, this is a great place to add them here. So what you'll do is you can select all contacts here. And then if you go over to the top right where it says manage, you'll go here and you will go to the export contacts. And there you'll be able to choose if you want all contacts, if you just want specific contacts, and then you can go to export. Again, I'm not going to do that for this example, but if you hit export, usually in the bottom left is where it will then populate with your export, your either Excel or your Google Sheet. And then I'll show you, you'll be able to drag that into ActivePipe, or you can save that. And then you'll be able to select from your desktop. You'll be able to select that file. So again, simple and easy with exporting from either your Gmail or your Outlook. All right, we're moving right along. So once you have downloaded, you've exported them from wherever you are housing your contacts, you're going to look at a sheet similar to this. So this is the, I'm using a Google Sheet here. So a couple of things to note on here is, I'll start with, you have all of your contact information for ActivePipe, and you can get as detailed as you want here. And you may notice in some of your exports that you have many fields that are coming over here. So you might see things like surname or nickname, like those are additional columns there. Really you want to make what you're bringing into ActivePipe, you want to have as much information as possible. But certainly if you have some columns in your documents that don't have any information in them, you might want to delete those. So I'll just show you real quick how to delete them. So if you go up to where these letters are, these columns, and if you just drag your mouse over them, you can then right click, and then you can choose to delete these columns. And that will get rid of them. It will merge them for you. It didn't do that for this example because we don't have anything in them, but just know you can drag over them, go to delete, and it will delete those columns for you. So if you wanted to clean that a little bit before you export them into ActivePipe. That said, the most important things that I recommend that you do include in your export are a first name and a last name, an email address, obviously, because we're an email marketing platform. And that's really it. That's the most important information that you're going to want to have in your export here. Obviously, if you can include things like a phone number or email address, anything like that, that's great. And then if you are choosing to add any sort of tags into your export, a couple of things here. So you can either choose to separate each tags by separate columns. So if you wanted one column that has all of your sellers in it, one column, all of your sphere of influence or whatever that tag is, if you want to separate them, you can do that. That's perfectly fine. And then, or if you wanted to keep all of them in one column, you certainly can add all of your tags in one column. So for instance, if I wanted sellers and my sphere of influence all in one tag versus separating them into two, you can do that. All you have to do is add this comma here. So you're just going to want to make sure that you add that comma. And then one other thing that I will note is to add separate columns for the first and last name. And the reason that that is important is because you can do some cool personalization in ActivePipe. So, and obviously that's key to good email marketing too, is addressing all of your contacts by their names. So by having your first and last name separated, you can add in to ActivePipe, say, a placeholder for the first name. So if you add in that placeholder, if you have their first and last name together in one column, it's going to bring in, instead of just Devin, it's going to bring in Devin Holbrook, say as their first name. So you might want to just separate their first and last names here. And I am just looking at the chat real quick. We won't be covering how to export contacts from an iPhone in this session, just because it is multiple steps. Today, we're just going to be covering from either your Gmail or Outlook. However, it's very easy. If you can Google how to export contacts from an iPhone, I recommend that. Or again, if you reach out to whoever your customer success manager is for your ActivePipe, we can help with either finding information on that or helping you navigate that. So won't be covering it for this session, but it can be done, and we can certainly help you with that. All right. So I'm looking at Lisa. It looks like you had a question. Can you show the adding a comma again and why we would do that? So I think what you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, is so if you're doing multiple tags, if you want to say you have Devin is a seller, but she's also part of your sphere, you just add a comma and then you can keep typing however many like tags that you want. So you can keep just adding them via a comma here. Or like I said, you could also, if you wanted to separate them by columns, you can do that. There's not a wrong way to do that. So you can separate them by columns here, whichever you prefer. All right, I'm going to keep moving along just for the sake of time here. But the next thing that you'll do is if you're going to, so you'll want to download this or save this, this Excel doc to get that into, if that's how you're going to add in your contacts, you would just go to File. And then since I'm in Google Sheets, I would just go to Download, and then you're going to save this as a comma separated value. You're going to save that. I believe if you're working out of an Excel doc, you'll go to File and then Save As. And then under Save As, again, you'll just want to save that as a CSV. So I'm going to do that. And again, you'll see kind of down here at the bottom left, this is where it's downloading for me. And I'll show you, you can drag and drop this in, or you can then choose to save it. And it will open up, it'll show you what your contacts look like, and you can save that. So I'm just going to do that again. So that we're easily able to drag and drop it. And then I'm going to go into my ActivePipe account. So I log into my ActivePipe account. Yours might look a little different, your dashboard, but once you get into your ActivePipe account, you will go over to Contacts. And then important thing to note here, if you'll see this Add Contacts button only if you are manually uploading the contacts. So for this session today, we've been getting them out of Gmail or Outlook, or if you're keeping just a sheet like a Google Doc or an Excel doc of all of your contacts, you will be able to see this Add Contacts button. You won't see this if you're using a CRM, just because again, those are automatically getting imported from your CRM. So such as like a Close or a MoxieWorks or Reliance, things like that. So those contacts would automatically be coming over for your CRM. So you won't see this Add Contacts button. However, you will see the rest of this contacts page. So if I'm adding in now my CSV, if I go to Add Contacts and Import Contacts, it'll take you to this page. And really cool, I'm just going to drag this into the center here. You could also have chosen that blue button there and you could upload them. You would just choose a file from your desktop. So you could do that way, or you could drag and drop them in like I did. And then we'll go to import contacts. And then it's going to take you to this import contacts, this verification page. So this is where we just want to confirm all of the information that we're bringing over from our CSV is correct and is mapping incorrectly into ActivePipe. So you'll see over here, you'll see the information that was from our CSV. It'll show you an example of what that looks like and how it's getting inputted and saved in ActivePipe. So you'll just want to make sure first name is Devin and it matches up to first name, last name, Holbrook, and so on. And if you see the green check marks here, green means you are good to go. So that you'll know that you're good to go here. And then for instance, down here, you can see that it didn't recognize, we'll have to map this if we're adding in the separate tag here. So if you didn't want to add this tag into this upload, no problem, you can just ignore that. Or you can go down to, if you click on the drop down at the very bottom, you could say import as tags. You also might see people who have, if you're curious about what a custom field is, a custom field is really anything outside of the standard fields that are already available in ActivePipe, such as like first name, last name, email address, things like that. Anything outside of that, such as like a birthday or occupation, or say like a partner's, like a spouse's name or something like that, that would be considered a custom field. And then anything like your sphere of influence or potential buyer or seller, that could be imported as a tag. All right. And so we will continue on going. So if I hit continue here, it'll just take a minute. And then last thing is it's going to take you to this page just to verify before you finish the import that, again, it's all, this is the columns up here show how it's coming into ActivePipe. And then one cool feature up here to mention, if you didn't do any of your tags on the CSV, but you wanted to add tags just before finishing this final import, if you go to this add tags feature, this allows you to bulk tag all of your contacts. So if you wanted to then bulk tag them as all of these as your sphere of influence, you could type that in here and it will automatically add that tag to all of your contacts. So just one thing to keep in mind here, if you are doing this add tags to new contacts here, it will tag all of them. And commonly where this is used is usually if you do multiple uploads throughout the year, I have seen people tag all of their contacts as say like CSV upload August 27th, just so they know when those contacts were added into ActivePipe. So they'll add that up here and then it will tag all of these contacts in that export as that tag. So I'm going to go to finish importing. And then it will take us to this screen here where we can see our import overview. So over here from left to right, you'll be able to see the total contacts that were imported, the number of new contacts that were imported. So this is a file that I've uploaded before. So those contacts already existed in my account. So it's not showing, it's showing 0 right now because those contacts have actually, I've already imported them. They already exist in my ActivePipe account. So, but you would also see, usually you would see 3 here too, or how many the total are that you've imported. Any updated contacts. So this is any contacts that already exist in ActivePipe, but say maybe they have some new information, like you added new tags or you updated their mailing address, anything like that. The way that we identify any new contact is by the email address. So as long as their email address is not changing, if that email address already exists, you've already added that person into your ActivePipe account before. But if you're updating anything like they've changed their last name or their mailing address, that will be an updated contact. Skip contacts, so contacts that weren't able to be imported in this import. So maybe if you forgot to add their email address, or if it wasn't a verified, if it's not an existing email address, it may have been skipped, or I'm sorry, yes, it may have been skipped. The contact may have been skipped as a whole. And then you have this skipped datas page 2, which this is if ActivePipe recognizes that some of their data doesn't look correct. For instance, if you were adding in any sort of like preferences, such as a minimum or maximum price, and you had those prices reversed, any sort of like kind of wonky like data, ActivePipe will be noted as skipped data. And so it's not going to show on this example here, but anything that shows in the skipped contacts or skipped data sections here, you'll actually be able to scroll below this and it will show you who those contacts from your upload, who those contacts were that got skipped. And anything with skipped, and it will tell you the reason why it was skipped. So for instance, again, if you forgot to add in an email address, or if that email address wasn't accurate, it wasn't verified, it will explain that to you here, as well as for any skipped data, it will tell you why that was being skipped. And there will also be an article, a knowledge-based article on how to rectify that. So how to fix that and then you can just re-upload them. So it will tell you the reason why it was skipped and how to fix it. So that covers how to export your contacts from Gmail or Outlook, or if you're exporting them via a CSV file, and then how to import them into ActivePipe. And then the last thing I'm going to cover with you before I get to further questions is just the information that you're able to view once you have your contacts in ActivePipe. So if I go back to the contacts tab here, you'll see an overview of all of your contact information. So you can see here the total number of contacts that you have in your ActivePipe account, the total number of subscribed contacts, so people who are receiving your emails and campaigns, any unsubscribed contacts, and then any non-subscribed contacts, which most likely will be people who, again, if they don't have an email address on file, or if they got multiple bounces on those emails, if it's not a valid email address anymore, it keeps getting a lot of bounces. It also could be people who are not opening your emails. So ActivePipe actually will, if any of your contacts are not opening multiple of your emails, they will fall into this not subscribed contacts page for 30 days. So ActivePipe will actually pause sending those people emails who have not opened multiple of your emails for 30 days. It will stop sending them any of those emails. And then after the 30 days, it will add them back in. But this is to help protect your sending reputation and to help protect them from unsubscribing to your emails. Maybe the emails that you're sending them just aren't relevant at the time, but they could be relevant in the future. So this is a good category for understanding if those are people who you don't want to be unsubscribed, but who are just not looking to receive your emails at this time. And then you always have the access. You can click on the view all and you can see who those contacts are. You also can see who your up and coming contacts are. So these are people who have recently started to engage with your emails. Maybe they were just added into your ActivePipe accounts. You just started sending them emails. They're recently starting to open and click on the emails that you're sending them. So that's up and coming. Highly interactive. These are going to be the contacts who are regularly engaging with your content. So these could be like considered your hot leads in most cases. So these are good people to be aware of, and you can actually click into their account and see what they're clicking on in their emails. these are great people to contact because they are likely going to transact soon. You again can see any of your new contacts over here as well. And then you can also see a timeline for all of your contacts, which I'll jump into more in just a second. But those are some of the things that you can see on this contacts overview page. And then if you go to contact list, again, this is where you can see a breakdown of every single one of your contacts. And then I'll try and find a contact that might have some information in it. I'm in a demo account, so it might not have any, but I'll go, I guess, to the top one. So if we click on Taylor's profile, this takes you to your profile. And a couple of things, you can always manage the subscription here. So if you wanted to personally unsubscribe them, you can do that here, as well as all of their information in this gray box is going to show up here. So you'll see Taylor's name, you'll see her email address. If you have their physical, like mailing address, anything like that in there, you'll be able to see that. You can also click on the three dots here and you can see all of that information this way, as well as this is where you can see any preferences as well. So if you wanted to add in any sort of property preferences, things like that, you can always add that information here. We can also see a timeline of Taylor's engagement with your emails. You can see their interaction rate, their open rates. There's, again, their subscription status, things like that. And then as well as once they start clicking on your emails, you'll be able to see just below this engagement box, you'll be able to see the properties that they are clicking on down here. As well as you can see any tags that you have affiliated with them. And this is also where you can go, a place where you can go to add and remove tags for someone. So if we wanted to tag Taylor as a buyer, you can start to type in buyer. And if it's a tag that already exists in your ActivePipe account, you've already tagged someone as this, you can add that way. And it gets added for you. And then if you wanted to remove it, just as simple as that, you just click on the X and that will get removed for you. You can also see a timeline for when emails were sent to them, to this specific contact, so Taylor, so you can see any emails that were sent. You'll also be able to see any links that were clicked on. So it will show you, I believe in yellow, it will say clicked links. So you'll be able to see what links that they're clicking on in your emails. So this is really great for checking those things out. Highly recommend it. Smart matches. So smart match is a feature that ActivePipe has that you can turn on, and ActivePipe will actually, there's an algorithm and it will start to build a profile on your contacts, what their preferences are based on the information that they're clicking on. So if you're sending Taylor, say, weekly open houses, and she's clicking on a lot of properties in a specific area or a specific price range or with a specific number of bedrooms, that will show under the Smart Matches feature here, and it will start to identify that Taylor is looking at properties. Maybe she's looking to upsize or downsize, anything like that. And it will show you what those smart matches are here in the Smart Match section. And then you'll also be able to see, let me see if I can find a contact that might actually have some information on it. So this is a little more relevant for you. Let's see. I might not be able to see it because of, again, this is just a demo account, so it's really just a test account. But under the property interactions, this is similar to your smart matches, but you'll actually be able to see a map of all of the properties that you'll be able to see the location for where your contact lives on a map, as well as properties that they're clicking on a map too. So you can see specifically what neighborhoods that they're interested in, or this is really relevant for if you see that they're clicking on a lot of properties that are in very close proximity to where they live. That's a good sign that they are maybe interested in selling their home. They're self-appraising their self they're getting, they're starting to see what the market looks like in their area to see maybe what their house would be worth. So that's a good indicator there, as well as you'll be able to see again, if maybe they're looking to move to a different neighborhood, you'll be able to see properties that are in that neighborhood. And then you'll also be able, again, it will show you a snapshot of what those properties look like over here. So that pretty much covers what I wanted to cover with everyone today on this session. Let's see. I will stop sharing for a minute, and I'm just going to take a look at some of these questions. So I see someone asked if you change brokerages, do your contacts follow you, or does the brokerage have access? The brokerage doesn't necessarily have access, but you will have to, your ActivePipe won't follow you necessarily. You'll have to reach out to ActivePipe and we'll have to create a new account for you. You can export your contacts out of the ActivePipe if that's, and we can always re-import them into your new ActivePipe account that's affiliated with your brokerage. Someone asked if you could use ActivePipe like a CRM. You certainly could. ActivePipe, we can host all of your contacts. We typically work in tandem nicely with a CRM, though, I will say, just because we're not managing any of like the post-sales process. Usually CRMs have more capabilities with like back-end solutions and things like that. We are really more of like a contact management and email marketing platform. So a great place to hold your, to house your contacts and then send them relevant emails and campaigns. But you certainly could use this as a CRM. Let's see. And then someone asked you if there are other classes that you would recommend attending after this one for further instruction. Yes, we hold this month in ActivePipes, we typically hold 6 a month, and they'll be covering different topics. So I definitely recommend, again, if you, I'll share my screen. So if you go back to our website, again, if you go to resources and then webinars, you can always sign up. This is where you can register. And then again, you'll want to go to, you'll want to select North America. I think it defaults to ANZ, which is our Australian market. Click on North America and then register for webinars here, as well as we also have ActivePipe 101 and 201 trainings where we go over, again, how to import contacts, how to create an email, and how to send an email. So those are good resources for you too that I can share afterwards. As well as if any of you are on our auto or enterprise platforms as well, 201 dives into more of the automations feature and setting up reoccurring campaigns. Again, if you are on either our auto, say nurture or enterprise platforms. Let's see. I think that's all from the chat. We have a couple in Q&A. So hopefully I covered what the difference, I know there's a difference or asked between the difference with ActivePipe and Close. So Close is the CRM, and ActivePipe, we are the email marketing platform. So again, we actually have a great integration with Close. So you can always sync your Close account with ActivePipe. And so any contacts that you keep in Close will then sync over into ActivePipe, and you're able to send those contacts any email marketing or campaigns. And then that information will get pushed back into Close. You'll be able to see what emails that they're opening, links that they're clicking on, and the emails that you sent them. Someone asked about name cards. What system do you recommend to upload them into Excel? I would recommend, I think I'm partial to Google Sheets for uploading them in. It's free to download those Google Sheets. So if you just go to google.com and search I believe it's Google Sheets, you can upload them into a Google Sheet and then save it as a CSV and then upload that into ActivePipe. And then Jennifer, you did ask about putting all your contacts into close. Yes, I recommend if you are on a CRM that is integrated with ActivePipe, my recommendation is to keep your contacts in and keep adding them into that CRM platform, and then they will automatically be brought into ActivePipe. So recommendation is to always be adding your contacts into the CRM as long as we're integrated with them, like Close, and then those will get added into ActivePipe. All right. I believe that is it for the questions. So I hope everyone enjoyed this session. Again, this is being recorded and it will be shared on our website under webinars here shortly. And then if you have any further questions, please feel free to, again, you can reach out to whoever your admin is at your brokerage with who handles the ActivePipe account. Either they can answer the question for you or feel free to, they can also reach out to whoever the customer success manager is for your account, and we can always assist you that way. But I hope everyone has a lovely Friday, and we will see you on this month in ActivePipe.